And we should now be here. It should all be working, hopefully, and the magic of the internets and the World Wide Web things. We should be here. But anyway, you know who I'm Dave. I'm from Banded Badgers. Below me is Steve. There's the co-host. He's the little monkey. And this is a very, very special episode of the Great British Brush Off. Steve's still on mute. That's why he's not giggling. Normally he'd throw some insults at... Oh, there he is. Throw some insults at me.
I was trying to tell you that we was okay, we had sound and it was live, but you can sod off now.
Well, there we go. See, we're in the right place. Now, joining us, as I said, this is a very, very special brush off for us. We are joined by Michael Konas and Lindsay Rode from Dogmite, that you might have heard of. Hopefully you have, because they make some stunning stuff. And this is kind of like, we do our Q&A shows. We have our painting show. We've kind of combined the two on this one. Michael and Lindsay are graciously joining us for a couple of hours to hang out, to chill, to answer some questions as they come in, to do all that kind of stuff. We have some questions that are sent in from socials as well. Thank you very much, everyone, for seeing that. So if you're watching this live on Twitch, do write your questions into live chat. If you're watching this on YouTube, you can put them in the comments. We might get the answers too, but don't expect an immediate answer because it's a recording. It doesn't work that way. Now, we'll get into the introductions in a sec, but Dogmite, you can see that there's stuff going off in the right-hand column there. They have just started a brand new... let's just get stuff in there. They've just started a brand new Kickstarter. Steve's posting questions, Steve's posting updates. It's all going crazy. I've got stuff going on. The screen is lighting up, which is great. I can't read everything. Thank you very much. And that one's gone off as well. Thank you very much. Oh, you just subscribed. Thank you. So we've got loads of stuff going on. It is their Kickstarter. So, Michael, Lindsay, over to you. Oh, and Lindsay as well. We're going to, so as well as Dogmite, there's more. It's not just Dogmite. You get an extra bonus. For this one, we have Lindsay has up her own gaming company called Rose Gauntlet. Is it Rose Gauntlet or Gauntlet Rose?
It's Rose Gauntlet and then technically Entertainment. Because we have announced a video game.
Really?
Yes.
That's cool. Is that an app game? Is it like a PC game? Were you talking about consoles?
It'll be like a PC game. Hopefully we'll be able to port it. It's called Gone to Gaia. And it will have board game mechanics, but be a video game, kind of like Slay the Spire. If you've ever played Slay the Spire.
Yeah. Oh wow. Yeah, okay. Yeah. Right. We that's a whole other show. We'll get to that another time. Well, or if not, we'll get to that in part 2 of this show.
Oh, you haven't seen how slow I paint. So.
That's perfectly fine. Michael, tell us about the Kickstarter and how's it going at the moment?
Oh, it's going great. We're at, I think, 25 grand-ish in 10 days in, which is exactly kind of where we want to sit.
Cool.
We don't like to do unlimited Kickstarters. We like to control them a little bit. And yeah, we're very happy with it. We think it's a really cool idea. Basically, I made it for me. And that's kind of the best, I don't know, thing I could say about it is it's for me. And I want to make it and have it at my home. Where I sit.
I love the way while you were talking there, I think Cameron in the back just put a load of pictures over your face, which is great.
That's good. That's always a plus. Keep my face off this as much as possible.
We're on the same wavelength because I can do the same to Steve. So I've got the same questions there. I've got the same pictures going over his face now. So there we go. It'd just be me, Lindsay, and then loads of Kickstarter images going off.
We know who's important.
Pictures of our Kickstarter. Our hero shots.
So
no, we're really pleased with it. I think it's a clever idea. It works really well. We're gonna use it tonight, and it just, I don't know, I like it a lot.
Cool. It is. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna switch the cameras around for me and Lindsay. But I've got a sample that Dogmite kindly sent over, so you can see. I'll move the wet palette out of the way. You don't need to see that. And you can see my glowing keyboard. But you can see all these elements are here. They are modular. We did do a kind of a live unboxing of this the other day, which got a little bit carried away. We talked about packing Watsits, but that's if you've watched any of our shows, you know what that's all about. But it's magnetic, so they fit together into kind of different shapes as well. So what was the engineering factor behind that?
Well, we kind of had the initial idea, and then we shoved it off to the team, and we have an amazing crew of 20 woodworkers here.
Yep.
And they really took it to the next level, which is like the benefit of what we do. We have a lot of people that have been here for a long period of time, and they understand how things work, and the kind of the interchangeability, the modularity. We had the initial arc worked out, but then our production lead Jeremiah was like, we'd figure out the magnet systems.
Yeah.
We can turn it backwards and it'll be a straight line, and that kind of increased the modularity of it all. And it kind of grows from there for us now. And I don't know. I'm really pleased with it. I feel like it's a very clever solution to a lot of the problems that I have. I am a low middle class painter. like I'm okay. I paint for table readiness. I have an MFA in painting on canvas, but that does not translate directly to my mini painting whatsoever. But this was just a really good solution to what we do. And I don't know. It feels really good.
It was interesting when you launched this Kickstarter because I've been talking to Steve. So Steve in the background, we get loads of paints. So we got the Vallejo paints. We use Vallejo. We use Turbo Dog. Just going to name drop some things in there,
Sure.
but there you go. And it got to the point where I paint on the same desk. We're working from home. Me and my wife are office workers. We use the same. We're basically a hot desk in our own home. That's what we do. So and we've got a young boy. He's 7. He's getting into painting as well, but he's he's a handful. So one of us has to work with him downstairs at the dining table. One of us is upstairs in this very small box room. And having something like this, one, it's portable. Second, it's modular. And I mean, you can tell from this kind of shape that I've got set up here, I can just curve it around me, and it's really nice and cozy. Perfect for streamers. So if you paint in front of it, or even if you just watch Critical Role in front of the TV or the monitor, your computer, and you paint. Well, nobody watches. Okay,
That's crazy. I actually learned how to paint by watching Critical Role. That's
Really?
all I did when I would paint. Yep.
Oh.
Back in the day, back when they were still playing Pathfinder back then.
Yeah. Yeah. Back in the very early season.
It was
season
very
1.
early,
Yeah.
before it was really a season.
So what we do here is we will latch on to any kind of topic and conversation we can. If you want to start
That's
painting,
true.
you're
Finish
welcome
your
to start
thing.
painting. But
Sorry.
so critical season, I got into that when it looked like they were sitting on sofas, and they had this kind of bookcase and comics behind them and stuff. And I was like, I used to own a comic shop for 20 years. I was like, oh, what comics have they got? And for several it must have been a few months. I thought, oh, it's someone's house. And they've just got a couple of tripods and some cameras, and they're doing it that way. And then one day after their stream, because if you're watching it live at home, it's like 1 a.m., 2 a.m., and they finished and they started doing the dance game on the PlayStation or whatever it was. And the camera pulls back, and it was like, oh, it's a studio. I was like, you bastards, you've actually just broken. I was like, this is someone's home. This is great. Look how I want a dining kitchen like that. I want that kind of space. But yeah, okay. But as I said, we'll just latch on to any topic we can.
Oh, the magic of cinema.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
So,
They used to be late all the
It's
time
like this
back then.
yeah,
They had like normal jobs, and they used to get stuck in traffic, and one of them would be like an hour late and just like run in and be like, I attack. Whatever it is, I just attack.
So we have a mixture of so if you want to switch the cameras, let's talk about what everyone's painting today. Steve, you're on mute if you're talking.
I am talking.
Yeah, there you go.
I have a question from chat
Yes.
before it disappears off my screen.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it's there, right. So, question for Dog Mike. Do you produce unpainted DM screens so that the players can paint them in their own style?
Oh, that's an interesting question. We don't.
We can.
We can certainly do that. So reach out to us at info@dogmite.com if that's something you wanted. That would be the first request I've ever had in 10 years for that.
We got 3 or 4 various questions on the same thing. Like, can they buy an engraved version because it's laser engraved, and then kind of paint by numbers? Can they color it in and do that kind of stuff with it?
That's a good
We would
description.
certainly
Chloe.
be open to that. there's a couple things we need to work out before, like as we go through that process. Do they want our catalyzed lacquer finish on top of it, or do they just want to paint it and finish it themselves? But yeah, that's interesting. Kind of a paint by numbers DM screen might be really interesting.
That finish is really good. That really makes that colour stand out.
It's
I love it so much.
One of our hallmarks.
It's also
it's unbelievable
almost
how a piece of wood can be
indestructible.
that. Sorry if I spoke over you there.
Oh no, I was just saying it's almost indestructible too.
It is.
Mine gets like shoved under a bookcase every day, and every day I get it out. It's okay.
I'm just gonna. I have this new gizmo, and I'm gonna buzz. It sounds rude every time. I'm just gonna quickly buzz.
You're gonna buzz your paints.
I'm gonna buzz my paints in my magic wand.
Oh, you have a shaker? That's amazing.
Yeah, this is we don't do anything with them, but you know, if Green Stuff World want to do something with badges, we're more than welcome to. I saw this promoted on socials, and I thought I've got to get one. And then the shipping price said you're not going to get one. So I found a UK retailer who had one, and I was like, oh, I'll have that. So less than 20 quid. It's really good. It's like a vape machine. You plug it into charge, and it just spins your paint, really, and mixes it. I hope. But
all right, I have a question for you guys as we get started. I don't mean to derail, but do you guys mix your paints often?
Steve has done.
Good question.
I have done from time to time.
Mm-hmm.
I used to do it a lot more when I was using cheaper craft paints.
Gotcha.
To paint minis. When I moved to the Vallejo, because they have a range of pre-mixed colours, I tend to get a lot more lazy about mixing my own colours.
Yeah, I think that's fair.
But yeah, when I first started painting, I was exclusively using just acrylic paint from the craft store. It's £1 for 200 millilitres. You have to mix it with water quite a lot to get it to behave like you want it to, but that's part of the learning process, and I can't fault it. But yeah, I do like Vallejo paints.
Steve, how big is the miniature that you're painting? Because in the picture that you sent earlier, it looked huge.
It is.
It is
I've lost my
big.
camera. Yeah, there's my hand, and there's the miniature.
That's awesome.
It's
You either have terribly small hands or
I was going to go with the hands, yeah.
big. There's the holder for relative scale for something, and there's my mini. So I don't know if I'm going to use the holder very much because it doesn't quite fit on there, but we will give it a go and see what it's like.
We have Hagley in chat is asking what everyone painted tonight. I did rudely interrupt Michael because we went off on a tangent. So, but you got something from Game of Thrones?
Yes, Song of Ice and Fire.
Yeah.
Which is a really cool game. Lindsay and I have played it a number of times, but we kind of had to limit how many lifestyle games we play, and we decided to kind of dive into Legion a little bit more than Song of Ice and Fire.
Yeah.
That's not a criticism whatsoever, just a decision that we had to make based on mostly time economy, because all lifestyle games are pretty brutal.
Yeah.
As far as time and effort, and especially our time. Lindsay's a game designer, so we try out a lot of new games just to find out new mechanics.
Yeah.
And that game had some amazing mechanics too.
It does.
The political interruptions were amazing. I loved it.
It's a very cool game. I'm very much into that world as well. One of my kind of favorite lesser-known games is The Hand of the King, which is stupidly simple, kind of thematic, and I don't know. It feels really good to me. It's a really nice gateway game for a lot of other people. It's almost like a chess game reduced to very simple mechanics or something. But I know Lindsay hates when I pull that out too often.
We've killed it a bit, in my opinion. We played it to its ultimate level for a box that's like 5 inches by 5 inches.
It was about 2 years when I was playing it nonstop over and over again on the first play for anybody that was new in our game group.
That's cool. So are you in terms of like the Game of Thrones? Were you fans of the original series? Are you looking forward to the new one?
That's a tough, alienating question right there.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, let's start some fights.
So, well, I'll start then. I don't mind. I got into Game of Thrones from season 3, so I was a late joiner to
You're
the
a late
party.
bloomer.
Yeah, and I hate the last season. It makes me not want to watch it again.
Yes, thank
because
you.
Winter is coming. Oh, it's here. Oh, it's finished.
Yeah.
In what a 1.5 hour special. It's what were they thinking? I just hope that they've learned their lessons in this new series. They have a concise storyline.
Yeah, it's tough. It's a tough call because I was a really big fan.
Yeah.
One of the reasons I started the company is because of the Game of Thrones LCG from Fantasy Flight Games.
Yeah.
Really?
Wow.
Wow.
That's one of the first games that we played, the other owner and I, and it had a complexity that we were looking for that didn't exist before then
Yep.
in other games. And it's a weird kind of roundabout tale, but I was a massive fan of that game and kind of the mechanics that it introduced me to. And it's bittersweet. It really is. It's bittersweet watching because I feel the same way about the last season.
Yeah.
That it just ruined perhaps one of the coolest things
Yep.
in our geekdom that had happened in a long time. And it's really shocking that they messed it up so badly. Really, because it was such a big license and so much money shoved at it. Like, how do you mess that up so badly?
Yeah.
It's
Well,
really
that's why I'm nervous about the new show because we've already seen what happens when they run out of book. And it doesn't
Right.
fill me with
Yes.
confidence for this new show that probably has very little material behind it. I know he's done some short stories and some prequels, but I am just not filled with confidence that they can do this based on their own writing after that last
fair
season.
point.
We have a question about the metal bits. So the handle. Do you want to
Sure.
get in close and show
Yeah.
the aluminum handle?
This one.
Is that all right?
What's
we
it
go.
for?
What's it for? It's for my really old eyes and hands, basically. So this rotates pretty freely. The cap rotates as well.
Yep.
And I can stabilize my painting hand against it. I'm a lefty, so it looks a little weird, but it works really well to move wherever you want it to be. Move the mini around. You can move it for large or small minis, and it's really pretty malleable. And I think it's called, what's it called, Mike?
Dead soft.
Dead soft. So
Hold its shape.
it'll hold its shape, so I can move it there, and it'll sit there pretty firmly.
Yep.
Or I can move it a little more tightly, and it'll hold that shape there as well. There's kind of an art to getting to use it all together, but it's pretty simple, really.
I was because I got one of the original ones. So
Right.
this is the early one. So this is paint stick 2.2 or paint handle. This was got to us by Josh McGuire Review, also on
Yep.
YouTube.
Love
Check
Josh.
him out. Josh is wicked. I
Yeah.
don't know if he's in there, but if he's watching, but he's been sending good thoughts, which is great. And I love that. It was lovely. It's a nice wood, lovely design. And it's good to see that you can continue to develop and come up with new things. The detachable head, the magnetised head kind of thing. And then you can put that down on the stand, plug the stand a little bit, and then you can become another one. Boom. It's that easy, which is fantastic. But when I first got it, I was like, what's this wire for? Is that packaging? Is it supposed to be like that? And then everyone said, oh no, it's like you rest your hand on it. And I was like, well, how? But as you say, you get into it. It takes out that kind of shake. So if you do rest your hand on the wire, you get a good grip or position. It takes out that last minute shake, and you can get a really kind of good solid line if you're painting very, very delicate pieces.
Do you use it
Mhm.
more now that you kind of understand how to use it?
Yeah, especially we've been learning. We've had a few episodes where we've been learning how to paint eyes.
I was gonna say eyes is when
yeah.
it really comes in handy.
It's incredible for that. So it is. It's the. This is. I don't call it like the hand rest. This is the fine detail arm, or whatever you want to call it. This is. It stops the shaking. It allows you to concentrate. You don't have to worry about the weight of your arms. All the weight is in your. For me, it's the left hand holding the handle, and for me, my right hand can then concentrate, and it takes out all the shake. It's great.
I would like to say as a product disclaimer that just if you buy one of these, you won't be able to paint eyes perfectly from that point forward, because there's still some levels you need to cross before you get to that point. But
I'd like to say it's guaranteed to make you paint eyes better.
listen to him.
There's nothing in this world that guarantees you're gonna paint eyes better.
Right.
You can
Eyes
just
are
keep
so
drinking.
hard.
Have you seen that thing on social where it says "Paint me like you paint minis"?
Oh, yeah.
It's like
The
dumping
eyes.
on oil with
Yeah.
new eyes.
The eyes were different. Those are my eyes. Yeah, that's kind of me. That was
Yeah.
before I got the stick. So buy the stick, improve your eye painting. That is there's a I was gonna say badger claim there.
Yeah, it certainly helps. You certainly won't be worse with a stabilizer.
Yeah.
Have you ever seen the little rubber brushes where it's like a rubber point to help you get like a specific
Like the thing.
eye?
Yeah.
Yeah.
We've had
I've
people
never
on who
tried
just
one.
used who I can't remember who told us, Steve, but someone came on and said, "Oh, I just use a Sharpie." And I was like,
That's pretty good.
so
I've
what?
seen there's a big movement on Facebook groups about like using really fine point markers
Yeah.
to paint it really difficult details.
And
I think that's a great
it's
idea.
it's also a case of like, why not? And I tried it. So something we'll be doing today, which you may not be aware of. You have to get to the end of the episodes. Is that at the end of the episode, all of the audience will get to vote on who is going to get a gold star. Now we've pulled out all the stops. we've upgraded our technology. We haven't. But the audience will get to vote out of all four of us, not just me and Steve, because it's normally just me, Steve, and Joe. But all four of us will be put into a vote, and the winner will get a gold star.
Wow.
It doesn't mean anything. It's just kudos to you for doing that. But yeah, normally we play for a gold star, and then we had a guest on who was telling us that they use markers. And then the next episode, I was doing a Pathfinder mini, who is this female character who has lots of tattoos all over her body. And I thought, there's no way I can do that. It's just too much of a fine detail. So I had a purple fine ink Sharpie, a fine point Sharpie, and I drew to squiggly lines and patterns all over her body, and I won the gold star.
Wow.
And
Wow.
I was really impressed.
Yeah.
We have a few questions
Go for
from the
it.
chat. What paints are everyone using? Why don't we go around the board here? I spy Citadel, Army Painter, and Leo. What we got?
Mhm.
Let's start with you, Dave. Go clockwise.
I've got a mixture. I am using Vallejo. So I've got a selection of Vallejo paints. I've pre-picked my paints. As you can see, look, I'll move the camera around a little bit. I've got some pre-paints. I have some Turbo Dork for the metallics. I'm currently painting... I was going to say paint my tentacle. That sounds a bit rude. I'm currently painting my appendages. That probably doesn't help either.
That's a perfect sentence in this. It happens all
for
the
this, yeah. So I've got shifter paints and metallics from Turbo Dork, and I have a flesh wash from Army Painter. So yeah, I've got a good selection of things.
Baron Snowhand says, Dave, shut up.
Someone
that sounds
else
a
in
bit
chat
right.
also said when we were talking about the Game of Thrones, they're like that winter was more of a cold snap, and I found it really funny. That person, I want you to know, I laughed deeply inside.
It's very good.
All right, Mike, what are you painting with?
I paint with. I have a very clear rule as far as art goes. Use the right tool for the job whenever you need it. So, I use a lot of different colors. I love my contrast paints. I have them all separated here. I haven't used any yet, but I will use whatever color fits for the scheme that I'm doing. So I'm kind of painting this guy like my hordes um, team, and collecting like a group of colors that will fix my palette really tightly, and use whatever I need to within that kind of constrained palette. And that's how I approach it. I don't always do it the same way, but I use a lot of different paints. Citadel, I love contrast paints. I think they're fantastic, especially if you're painting Zombicide or something.
Yeah.
Legion, any army paints, I will fight someone to the death over Citadel contrast paints or army speed paint or whatever that version is of those. But they're amazing, and they kind of cross a ground that paints haven't crossed before, that allow you to paint faster and have the same results. Other than that, I'll use anything. I love Army Painter Quick Shades. Dark Tone, Strong Tone are kind of my Nuln Oil replacements. I'm not a huge Nuln Oil fan. It feels oily to me. It feels less controllable than some of the Army Painter ones. We have a lot of Guild Ball paints, which
I love the Guild Ball paints.
Do you? I love Steamforged games. I do
Yes.
not love the Guild Ball paints.
You're crazy.
I may be crazy.
All right, Lindsay, you got to follow Professor Conus. Some words of wisdom.
I'm using a lot of the same ones. Army Painter is my go-to for like everyday paint. I also have Scale. I believe it's Scale 75 or Scale Color.
Mm-hmm.
And then those are like when I really need to pull out the big guns, I go to them. They're a little more expensive and they're hard to mix. But if you had an automatic mixer, that would be really convenient. But they're amazing. They're consistent, and some of they'll just never really separate on you. They're really cool in that way. However, I'm using Citadel today because someone took all the Army Painter paint out of the house and everything else.
It was a purely tactical move for the gold star, there you see.
For those who don't
Purely
know,
tactical.
Mike and I are engaged and we live together, and Mike raided the entire paint room for the stream and left me nothing.
It had to be done.
Nothing.
It was kind of an afterthought. I agree that I should have put more forethought into it, but yes.
All right, Steve, you're up. What are you painting with?
I am painting with Vallejos. I generally paint entirely with Vallejos. I do have some of their technical paints as well, so I've already put some earth paint on the base. So I was going to try and base this tonight as well, because I've got a load of base materials we got from UK Games Expo that I wanted to give a try to put a snowy effect on it. I've also got some oil stains and stuff like that because I'm painting a Sawtooth from Horizon Zero Dawn. But the one I do like Vallejo paints. I don't like their washes. I think their washes are really they dry horribly. So
What do you mean?
they just seem to clump in one place if you don't really mix it down. So I really dilute it and then throw it on almost. So I haven't found a wash that I like yet. Everybody talks about Nuln Oil, so I might have to give the Citadel ones a go. But I also have some Turbo Dorks, so I'm going to try and use the Turbo Dorks on the fins and paint them as radiators. Give it like a heat effect.
Oh, that's
if
cool.
I get time. If I get time. I'm going horribly slow because I'm painting each panel.
What's your goal when you all are painting? Because I have a clear goal of table ready.
Yes, table ready is it at the moment. There's a couple of things is like this. If any of my players watch this before Friday, don't spoilers. They're facing a mummy this weekend, Friday. So I'm very quickly painting a well bandaged mummy. But we also have a new story coming up. So we paint. What I'm trying to do is more of with our games when we use all minis. So like I'm using my phone as a camera now, I'll use that on the board. We'll print out maps, we'll make scenery, and play particular scenes of the game. So right now we're playing Scarlet Citadel as a live stream, but also we're already with certain announcements that came out today regarding Dungeons and Dragons. We might be playing. We will be playing Dragonlance, and something to do with the Deck of Many Things.
Oh yeah,
Ooh,
I saw
awesome.
that.
I saw that announcement today. I was really excited.
What do you think that means? That announcement? What a book based on the Deck of Many Things, giving character options and DM options. What do you think that looks like? What's that mean?
I don't know. There's a 4th edition game. Me and Steve have both basically played D&D since 2nd edition. Steve.
Well, we
Advanced
basic
D&D. Advanced D&D.
Yeah, AD&D.
AD&D.
Yeah.
And there was a very good 4th story. Like, I know a lot of people don't like the rules, but most of the time to make up the rules anyway. I can't even remember it, Steve. What was it? There's a box set of game, and it comes with the Deck of Many Things. And it's a fantastic little adventure. Stronghold, was it Stronghold Keep or something like that? And it's a really good story about the knights who used to hold this keep, and the leader of the knights. They were being besieged by orcs and ogres and giants, and for whatever reason, his resolve breaks, and he runs down into the magical vault that they've got, and the Deck of Many Things is there, and he pulls out a card, but he pulls out the death card, and then all undead start to climb out the ground, and they start attacking all the humans, the knights, and the orcs, and suddenly there's a whole kind of this huge battle is raging. Everyone gets killed and slaughtered. No one really wins. And the Deck of Many Things gets separated across the land, across the continent. And it's been many years since it's come back. And this keep is now in ruins. There's a dungeon beneath it. And you as adventurers get tasked with going back in and seeing what you can find in there. And the Deck of Many Things has warped this stronghold. And you have to go in there and put the deck back together. It's a fantastic story, so we're going to be playing something like that.
Are you DMing it?
Yep.
You should. Just the
That would
way
be
you,
awesome.
just
Yeah.
the way you sold that storyline, I was pretty wrapped in. So
Good, because if you want to be a guest player, there is a seat for you at the table. You are always more than welcome.
I appreciate that.
I have a question as like a mouth breather. What does not to backtrack too far, but what does table ready mean? I don't paint.
I found this one out. It's at the arm's length. Does it look like it's supposed to look? So you can't see any. You can't see the eyes that they're pointing in different directions. You can't.
That's good.
You can't see that you've painted over the foot or something like that. It's that kind of thing. So it's table ready.
How's this look from here?
Mm-hmm.
But there's like exhibition level, competition
There
level.
absolutely is. Yeah.
Yeah. A lot of the war games, they require the miniatures to be painted before you can compete. And
Yeah.
for a lot of people, playing the game is way more enjoyable than the painting in itself. So I know a lot of people who table ready just means throw whatever they need to qualify as a painted miniature on it so that they can have fun and go to the game store as soon as possible with their new army build. And I think that's probably the extreme end of table ready. But I think that's where the word comes from.
Yeah, and I think there's a deeper kind of meaning to it. Maybe it's like a paradigm shift that I certainly experienced because you go online, you follow Facebook groups like D&D Miniatures or Star Wars Legion, and you see these amazing painted miniatures,
Mm-hmm.
and you're like, that's where my level needs to be, or else I can't play that game readily. And I think table ready is kind of a nice breath of fresh air that says you can paint them however you want. as long as they're painted, you can bring them to the table,
Yeah.
and you can enjoy the hobby just as much as anybody else,
Yeah.
basically.
I think there's certainly this undercurrent of like making the hobby accessible.
Mhm.
You know, like look at what like Indie's doing. It's just blowing the doors wide open.
Yeah.
And I think it's fantastic. It's great for the industry. It brings new people in.
Yep.
And like kind of like you can enjoy it if you're really into it, but you can enjoy it if you just want to have fun.
Yep.
You know, and I think that's the coolest thing.
And I think Lindsay and I do this quite a bit. We've been in the industry so long now that we don't really feel there's no demands on us as hobbyists. We are completely free to enter the hobby however we see fit, whether we're all in or barely in on some games.
Mhm.
It's just pretty easy, and that's where I think a lot of hobbyists and gamers really sit. If that makes any sense.
I think it comes down to having fun.
Yeah, it
Right?
is.
At whatever level, you have to enjoy it.
Yeah,
And have fun.
just enjoy it. You don't have to be this good. You don't have to be level A good to be a gamer. You can be a really shitty painter like myself. And, still enjoy it.
So let's talk a bit about that. You are an MFA artist, or to that level, and how did you go from that? What was the decision? What was the life decision? What happened? And now, we've talked like offline,
Right.
and I've said it's ignore my ignorance, but I say it's a woodworking business. How do you go from paints to wood? It's still creative. You're still doing stuff.
It is. It's all creative problem solving, and we
Yeah.
talk about that a lot. Mike, the other owner, and I were doing very different things when we started the company, and it just felt like a natural progression to what we were doing. I was a commission painter for clients, basically,
Mhm.
when I started, and I was a figurative artist. I would paint people. I was a professor, and like professorships in the U.S. are a wreck right now. It's all adjuncts. Tenure track positions are really, really tough.
Yeah.
We're talking like a 9 to 10x scale to 1, basically. So the prospects of you getting a tenure track long-term position in professorships are very tough. And I really enjoyed it. I really dug it. But it's tough to face that level of commitment when there's very little commitment back to you, basically. I was making more money waiting tables, basically, than I was being a
Really?
professor.
Wow.
So we just had an idea, and we started with a couple really terrible board games, and that kind of led us into this space.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And
I had been doing like hobby woodworking,
Yep.
and we kind of just collaborated on this and landed on this thing, and made some wooden accessories just for fun,
right,
and realized that it had legs.
it did.
And, you know, it took 2 or 3 years out of like our houses and my garage, and eventually it turned into like, holy shit, like we can maybe make a living doing this.
Right.
And that was 5 or 6 years ago, and now we've got 20 staff, and the freedom to like pursue a hobby as a living is amazing. It's a fucking privilege.
Yeah.
And like every day, you know, you gotta work really hard, and it's difficult, and there's challenges, but man, I love getting out of bed in the morning. Like it just keeps me going.
It does see when we see the like when you have videos of you guys in the office, in the workshops, everything. It is very. It's nice and refreshing to see that people are invited into your place of business, that you share that with everyone. But it is nice to see that you guys do have a sense of humour, and you do have a laugh and basically take the piss out of each other all the time. But
We say that a lot. Like when things get stressful, we're like, look, man, we're not curing cancer. We're making toys for adults.
yeah,
Everybody just calm down. Like it's not that stressful. We take it seriously, but
Yeah.
at the end of the day, we're just doing something really fun.
I think for me,
And we should approach it that way.
the seriousness comes from like we have staff that have families that depend on us. Like
Right.
kind of like that sort of like,
You're off camera, by the way.
yeah, I'm off camera, so nobody can see me, but this is great. But that idea that like, we started this thing as a hobby and it was really fun, but now we've got like folks under us that we kind of, it's like a family. It's as cliche as that sounds. It sounds really shitty. That's the last thing you want to hear from your boss, but it's actually fairly true.
Right.
And we try to do all the things to like give our staff amenities and do the fun stuff and have parties. And like, because it is at the end of the day, yeah, we got to work, but it can be fun.
Right.
It's a good place to work.
Yeah, I've owned in my time. I've owned 2 businesses. One was a comic shop for nearly 20 years, and I didn't work in it. I was just the owner of it, which was great because I get free comics.
I was gonna say that was probably not the worst thing in the world.
Exactly, yeah.
What's your favorite comic?
Spider-Man.
Ever?
I don't know. Do I have a single one comic? I don't think I have a.
Top 3.
No. I've got.
That's a really hard question.
I have some collectible comics. I have some comics that are in a bank safe, which I've bought during my time, which are very nice. And comics helped me. They paid off my student loan after university. I sold them. I sold some comics. I paid a deposit on my first flat and house, just by comics that I had in my collection.
That's amazing.
We
That's
helped
very impressive.
other people set up their businesses as well, which was nice. And then I thought, I've done that. I'll do another one. So I opened up a design studio back in 2008, a design development studio doing apps and things like that, because my day job is as a designer. And that lasted for 10 years before we sold it. And now I'm just, at the moment, I'm just a contract designer, painting minis and talking to people around the world. It's great.
That's actually impressive. Very nicely done. That gives you the freedom to do this, right?
Yeah, it's allowed me to explore different things. So, a lot of people know that Badgers, we're in the UK, we're near Gatwick, if anyone knows where that is. And there's a big mansion house, and we play in the mansion house. And it was only through kind of talking to the owner there, and I said, what happens at the weekend and stuff? And he says, well, it was basically a mansion house that's turned into hot desk and offices. And he says, even though everyone's self-employed, they still do 9 to 5. So I said, well, I want to play D&D. Can I invite some people over? And we had a great time. We played for 12 hours non-stop. Ordered pizzas. It was fantastic. And we said, right, we got to do something with this. And then we started what we now call Band of Badgers as a social club. So we have 70 people in the club, and we just play games. There's no money involved. Well, there's £5 that goes towards like food and stuff, but there's no money to be earned from it. It's just a thing to do. Everyone loves it.
How often does that happen?
It used to happen once a month. So everyone kind of has that build up to it. The week of the game, which was the last Sunday of every month, everyone is like, I really need it. I've had a really shit time at work, and get time away from the family. And we had people of all ages, all shapes and sizes. And then the day after, everyone's kind of just sort of spent. It's like going to the gym. It's like they've got it out of their system. They had a good time. They've met some new people, made some new friends. And then they go off and play their own games with people that they met at the club. And it's just gone on from strength to strength. And now we talk to people all around the world. We are hoping to do some panels at this year's Dragon Meet, which is a convention, and next year's UK Games Expo. Which takes me on to a nice place of stuff. So are either of you, in terms of Rose Gauntlet or Dogmite, are you going to have plans to come over to the UK for a UK convention?
I'll let Lindsay answer that first.
Ours is definitely yes. As soon as we can afford it.
Yep.
As a company, we are definitely going to go there because we've heard it's amazing.
Yep.
And we really want to go to the UK and meet everybody.
Cool.
So I can say that's a definite. We're hoping to make it next year. We might have to go to Essen instead. I don't know if you guys go to Essen.
Essen, yeah, we don't. But yeah, Essen is even bigger.
That's a big one, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's
Essen
the
will probably be
biggest.
the first one, if we can only choose one, we'll have to go to Essen just because
Yeah.
that's such a vital board game
Yeah.
convention,
Yeah.
especially for the industry. But then, yeah, we really, really want to go. Because you guys are there, I shut up and sit down. I'm sure goes. Although they have their own one in Vancouver, their own convention in Vancouver now. But yeah, we're definitely gonna try to be there next year, and if not,
Cool.
definitely the year after, unless the world explodes again. In which case,
Yep.
no.
It's a maybe if the world explodes.
Yeah.
Well, might be there. That's fine.
What about you, Mike? You gonna commit? I'll
No.
be there.
Nope. We hate England and everything.
I was gonna say so do we, but we
No,
tried to come to Gen Con, but
Other than the
couldn't.
Guinness.
yeah. Oh no!
Big Guinness fans. Yeah, we don't know.
I've discovered a new
cons
Guinness.
cons are interesting for us because it's so labor intensive for us
Yeah.
that we're kind of anti cons at the moment. We've done some kind of deep delves into the business that we get from cons, and it's surprisingly less than you might think, or there's a lot of repeat customers. So we went to Gen Con and Origins for 4 or 5 years in a row, and it's amazing. We do a email giveaway, and they sign up on a tablet while they're there, and the recurrence of the people that enter that was insane, like 80% year to year. So we're not really getting new people, and we have to lose production from the shop, which is a big deal for us. So we're not big enough to pull a convention crew and go to a con and be fully free to do whatever we want. And
I think one of the big hurdles is that we have to cart a 20-foot trailer full of stuff.
Yeah.
Right. So for us to show up with all this merch, it's not like games in boxes or T-shirts or anything like that. Like we're actually carting like heavy duty merch.
Yeah.
So it's a lot. It's and I want to say I'll preface that with like I've had some of the best times of my life at trade shows.
Yeah.
Easy. It's such a good time.
oh, it's amazing.
Yeah.
I miss them terribly, and
It can very much be like summer camp for all of us
Oh
to
my
go to the
god.
shows.
What happens at Gen Con stays at Gen Con.
Yeah, it's a shame we missed it. We would have been there.
yeah.
We're definitely lacking in terms of big cons. We have a Comic Con as well, so there's a couple of big Comic Cons per year. But we see Steamforge Games, who are always present. Citadel turn up. Pathfinder, Paizo.
Yep.
We did see actually at this year's UK Games Expo. Was it Top Hat Toppers?
Yeah, tabletop.
Oh, Game Toppers.
Game Toppers, yeah, the guy with a top hat.
Yeah,
Kevin.
And he came over. It was him, and I was talking to him, saying, "Look, I've seen you on videos. It's great to see you." But he was over. He was doing the whole spiel. His salespeople were amazing. I nearly parted with a lot of money, so they were, and their stuff is incredible.
yeah. We've worked with them.
Yeah, we have one.
Yeah, we have a couple in the office and one at home.
Oh,
Yeah,
cool.
we did the wooden components for the rails.
Right.
Oh,
Albert,
wow.
He's a really good dude.
Yeah,
Yeah, Bert's a great guy. Super interesting dude.
Yeah.
Deeper than the top hat.
yeah.
So, how many people go to the UK Expo? How big is it normally?
This year was very big.
I'm gonna step out for just a second.
Yeah, no worries. This year, I think because we went last year and it was very small, and it was still still COVID, still wear your masks and everything like that. This year it was in the spring, so we didn't have to wear masks, and it exploded. There was people everywhere, and at Birmingham NEC it was 3 halls, which are, I mean, each hall is like the size of a football pitch. You might call it soccer, but we call it football. And it was absolutely immense. Plus, you had overspill. So they're going into hotel lobbies, hotel function rooms. So if you wanted to play a game, you had to go into another building completely. It was huge. It was massive.
Wow.
We absolutely loved it. Spent a ton of money every single day. You're going backwards and forwards back to the car. You're having the usual kind of meetings and dinners in the evening with various teams. We do a lot of stuff with Ultimate Games Master, who are UK based. Free League for Alien and
Oh, I
Symbaroum.
love Free League.
Free League is amazing. The stuff they've
We're
done.
huge fans of Free League.
Yeah. Their stuff has been unbelievable. And again, they've been very nice with us as well. They knew who we were when we started, and we just said, look, we're trying something different. They've been incredibly supportive. We had Andrew Gasker, yeah, who's the writer of Alien RPG, and he came on and he was telling us all these stories. He's had his cat is now the cat in the new Alien book.
Nice.
It was amazing the stuff he was coming out with, and it was freaky because we got to see like an early sample print, and the first thing we see is this cat, and there's no spoilers anymore because this is out. You can see this now. The book comes out very, very soon. And it's carrying that kind of squid monster from Prometheus, the squid alien, in its mouth. And I'm like, oh man, it's dead. It's walking down this long, dark corridor. And at the bottom of the corridor are two humans, just talking to one another. And it's like, imagine Hadley's Hope. And you think, what are they going to do? And then Andrew's talking to us and he goes, yeah, but what happens is birds, when they get caught by cats, they play dead. And I'm like, are you telling me that thing is still alive? And he goes, well, you have to find out. And I'm like, no! I mean, I've got goosebumps now thinking about it, because I hate that thing. That good. The whole thing about the face hugger, that, this giant spider thing that is going to wrap around your head. No, that was...
I had a babysitter.
It's a terrifying concept.
8 or 9 years old, and this babysitter let me watch Alien. And I swear to God, I had nightmares until I was an adult about
wow.
And it transitioned into like them killing me and then me escaping them. And then when I was like 20 or something, I had a dream like I was running an extermination service. So people would call me up, they'd phone me up, and I'd go over and I'd be like, oh, no problem. I've got this for a while. Just like, blah, 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 blah. Like that would be $1,000.
That's so cool.
So you had just gotten incredibly efficient at exterminating the one stage of an alien?
Yeah, pretty much.
What the hell conversation did I walk out of?
So we have another thing about Alien as well. We've told this story loads of times, but I'm going to tell it again because it's all about Steve. So Steve was our DM when we were kids and growing up and everything, and we used to play. There was 4 of us who just used to play, and I think Steve got bored one day because we were probably just beating him.
Because you
left, right,
usual
and
players
center.
who nerf everything.
Yeah, exactly.
Why have a plan? Because you only destroy it anyway.
And then we walked into this cave, and the way he's describing it is, the lower levels from Alien 2, from Aliens, and he starts to describe these vines.
The reactor levels.
Yeah. And I'm picturing this in my head, thinking, I know this, I know what's going on. And he's like, you're stepping on these things, and he goes, you go into this chamber, and there's this egg, and I'm like, nope. But the other players didn't seem to clock on to what was going on. I'm like, no, don't do it. Don't go in. We know what this is. Because as you step in, the egg... I'm like, nope, run. Just run. And as we start running away, of course, the vents and things start to come out, and they're proper full-size aliens. So they're chasing us. We are D&D characters. We have bows and arrows, magic missiles. We cannot take on a crashed alien ship. And then something happens, and then suddenly he says, you look down and you see 3 dots on your chest. I'm like, what? Yeah, it's 3 dots, and then moving up and up, and the other players can now see these dots moving up onto your head. I'm like, run! Right, so you hear these noises, your voice is replayed back to you and bits and pieces like that. So now we have Aliens versus Predator in a D&D game. Just because we decided to fuck with Steve for a little bit.
That's perfect.
So, oh, look at that! Wow.
That's like my favorite showpiece. It's in my office right here. I had to show you guys. Actually, I have another one here. These are stuff that I did for myself.
Yeah, there's no NDA involved in any of this.
Oh, wow.
Oh, I just love it. Love that shit.
I think Steve just had a little bit of pee come out there. No, it's just, Steve is our DM for our Alien RPG.
Ah,
So
noise.
Modifius?
The Free League.
Free League.
Really? That's right. Oh, I confuse this too often.
Yeah, it's the Free League.
We're playing through Heart of Darkness.
How do you like it?
I love it.
It's very good.
I guess primarily RPGers.
Yeah.
The chat really wants those, and they can't.
Do you know what my dad used to do growing up? And this is alien related. So he would tell us stories, like, "Oh, Dad, tell us a bedtime story. Tell us a bedtime story." And he'd be like, "I'll tell you a bedtime story." And then he would tell us all these amazing stories about these adventures that people were having. And then as I got older, I started watching movies, and I was like, "Oh my God, he was just telling us the story of Alien." Like he would just steal because he was all R-rated movies that he knew we couldn't see for a long time.
Yeah.
So he'd be like, "There was once this guy, he was lost in a jungle, and there was this thing called the Predator, and he couldn't figure out how to defeat him. It was like the ultimate hunter." And we were like, "My dad's like, you should sell these stories." Like Mad Max, and we were just like, "You should write these down. These are so good."
That's brilliant.
Yeah, and then as an adult, I was like, "Oh my God, he stole all of these. These were just R-rated movies that he knew we wouldn't see till we were like 16 years old."
That's good
That
fodder.
is
I'll go home and
superb.
screw up my kids.
I can't wait to tell our kids about a space opera involving Jedi and
It worked really well. The Mad Max, I didn't figure out Mad Max forever because I didn't see the original movie for so long. And then I saw it and I was like, "Oh my God, this is one of my bedtime stories."
A man on his own in the wasteland.
That's why you're so hardcore.
Apparently, yeah. Yeah, if your bedtime
That's
stories
cool.
are Alien and Predator, I don't know where you go from there. That's pretty
go into
intense.
game design.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that wedges nicely into the game design. Let's talk about Rose Gauntlet. So how long has it been official now?
So we're about to hit our 2-year anniversary.
Okay.
But we only released our first Kickstarter last year. We just actually fulfilled it this week. I did the congratulations, this project is done. Everyone who hasn't gotten one, email me right now.
Cool.
I did that right before this stream.
Fantastic.
So we have officially completed our first Kickstarter as of today.
And then everybody that didn't get a shipping notice immediately.
Immediately, I was
Yeah.
frantically trying to answer everyone before the stream started. I was like, "Oh, the timing was wrong."
I hear you're picking up a bunch of foreign partners.
Yeah, so Keystone did really, really well. We're actually down to our last 1,000 copies already, which is fantastic. And just the deluxe edition, the standard edition is sold out pretty much. I think there might be 30 copies left.
You can do like a high-end wooden accessory for that if you're in the market.
We could. We have
Yeah.
our new game coming up soon, which hasn't been announced yet, but I'll give everyone here the spoilers. It's going to be called Wild Gardens, and it's a game about foraging. And I'm so excited. It's very, very cool. It kind of sits in the realm of Wingspan, between Wingspan and Ark Nova, if anyone's
Yeah.
played Ark Nova.
That's it. That's a pretty good company to keep right there. Ark Nova and
Yeah, it's not bad. But yeah, it's been really, really fun, and it's cool because it's such a different company than Micron's, than Dogmite. So we have really interesting views of the industry, and we kind of have fun in the same space without ever really stepping on each other's toes, which is wonderful.
I think that the business side of that is really fascinating. Obviously, that's all we talk about, Mike and I.
Right.
But just having the luxury of talking to folks that have run game companies. We got a lot of friends in the industry, and kind of comparing notes.
Yep.
That's what I love about, and it tends to be the same whether you're running a comic book shop or you're producing games or you're making things out of wood or whatever. There's a lot of similarities.
Business is business. Kind of.
It
At the end of the
is.
day, it's amazingly similar.
It is, but I've observed in gaming, you have to have like integrity or something.
Mhm.
You have to have some empathy
Mhm.
or yeah.
We've been really lucky that our industry is a very caring one,
Right.
and very small. So as it grows, we can hopefully hold on to that. But
I
I
think
think because everyone loves games, there's been opportunities where 4 or 5 different companies that should be competitors are sitting down having a great time giving feedback on their products to each other. Being like, oh, I think if you did this, it would be amazing, or your life, the life count should be the deck. How cool would that be? And those ideas are just given freely, even though it's not your game and it's not your company.
Yeah.
And I hope we never lose that.
It's fantastic. We do a lot of like cross promo stuff with Elderwood Academy.
yeah.
Like they started with us. They've been over. Like he's been at my house,
Mhm.
and we're tight with them. And it's not even. It's collaborative. It's not like I want to crush you into the ground. It's like that's cool. How can like we launched the mini painter. Like hey, I'll give you a shout out. No problem. Can we because we've worked with them on other products where we're like okay cool. How can we fold your leathers into like this thing that we want to do? And they're like cool. How can we do your sculpture? So it's a very like collaborative process, and I think being adversarial is toxic, frankly.
Yeah, I think we see that too much in businesses anyway, and I think one of the good things that has come out of Josh McGuire has just arrived.
Hey, Josh.
Josh, how you doing? We were talking about you earlier. Nothing nice.
Oh, that bastard's here?
Quick, turn off. Oh, we did it once. We said right.
Oh, was that live?
We were playing we were playing a live game, and someone had to go to the toilet. It might have been Josh, it might not have been, but we went quick. Everyone hide. We just hid behind our cameras. Anyway, but there you go. The crap we come out with. But yeah, that was a lot of fun. How you doing, Josh? Give us a. Let us know what you're up to. What's your latest video? I think one of the big things that came out of pandemic, because obviously it's a global pandemic. Everyone is very closed off, and thankfully for us in our lifetimes that this happened, that we've been able to still communicate and reach out to people. And everyone was saying like mental health, don't be isolated, find some friends, and I think people got into a massive surge because people wanted human contact. Even though we probably didn't want it before the pandemic, we knew we needed it.
Right.
It was like everyone's trying to ignore everyone and stay offline or do what they want. Global pandemic hits and suddenly we want to be best friends with everyone. We want to be able to have conversations with people. And the board game industry and role-playing industry, I think, exploded because of that, because people couldn't wait to get back together.
Yep.
And I think stuff that is very tactile, we live in a very digital world anyway, but having board games, having D&D with dice and miniatures, doing the stuff that you guys do at Dogmite, it's all very tactile. It's here. We can own it. It's not a digital file floating around somewhere. It becomes ours. And I think we're much more attuned to that now. Where I would say the 10 years leading up to pandemic, we probably weren't. It's just like, it's a rental, or we'll buy something. And we used to be people who bought music, records, cassettes, videos, DVDs, CDs. And that seemed to suddenly disappear in a flash.
Right.
It's human connection at the end of the day.
Yeah.
And there's some physicality there that's missing as well, and that people long for and yearn for. We listen to vinyl records, and that's a big, I don't know, pullback to the past. And Lindsay and I talk about that. Like, why is a vinyl record, why does that feel so good to listen to? Because it's physical. There's a physicality to it.
Yeah.
And there's an experience there. And I think we're longing for true person-to-person kind of experiences.
Yeah, I would agree. And we talk often about like that's kind of like standard philosophy for Dogmite. I like how you frame that, Dave, in it being tactile.
Yeah.
We kind of look at the industry like, well, there was computer games and all the folks that kind of grew up with that, myself included, you have a family now, right? Or you like have obligations, or you like things in your life get busy, and you don't want to sit in front of a computer anymore. You don't want to be by yourself. And like I think like D&D and painting is a perfect avenue for like that socialization and some connection. And I think it's fantastic. I think it's like connecting humans again.
I think a lot of our jobs are sitting in front of a computer screen too. Like the last thing I want to do is go home and sit in front of a computer screen more than I've already done all day long.
Yeah, and it's kind of turned into like an unfortunate necessity.
Right.
That I have to go and do this for 4 or 5 hours a day.
Yeah.
And I just want to like, I don't want to paint minis, but I like to go to the bar. Like I want to go out and like interact with humans.
Right.
You know.
Dave, you still in the comic business, or is that?
No, I sold both my businesses pretty much at the same time because my little boy came along.
7?
He's 7 now, yeah, and he we had some complications, and it was like, okay, look, I need to do something, so I'm gonna give this up. So I made the choice, and to be honest, I didn't look back, so I didn't miss it, and that was great. I still do design. I love design. I make digital apps. But like to echo what you just said, I didn't want to go home and be in front of a computer again.
Mm-hmm.
And then, although streaming is in front of a computer, I don't feel it's work. I'm just having a chat with people, and sometimes people listen. sometimes they don't. But you know, people exactly. So yeah, and things just go. Things happen. I don't know whether it happens for a reason, but things happen. It's life.
There's a fascinating like human element, you know, regardless of what you do and where you go and the things you learn.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, humans are behind everything.
Right.
You know, and I think it's so easy to overlook that human connection in our day and age. I'm sorry to go off on a
No, it's all right.
No.
He's off camera and waxing rhapsodic.
Like, this is very important and heartfelt, but like, what does everyone think about this nipple on this monkey? Like, is it good?
Are we talking nipple tweaking now? Here we go. Is
that? Do
you got
think
the shading
enough?
just right, I think.
Can you distinguish it?
Is it pink enough to hold up against the rest of the pink chest?
Does it? Yeah, like I need some feedback.
You need a Sharpie. It's like an eyeball.
Yeah, this is really it's a lot. This is my first massive nipple on a miniature I've done, and it's stressing me out a little bit.
I think try some zombie flesh.
Give him some pierce nipples.
I think it looks wonderful. You're doing an amazing job.
That's just because you guys are engaged. He's just gonna like blanket support it.
Yes, that is 100% true.
Good man.
Oh, I'm so glad I decided to paint this pink. I didn't know where it was gonna go, but now it looks like one of those Japanese spa monkeys, and it's really cool.
A spa monkey?
Yeah, you ever see like the monkeys that are in like Japanese bathhouses?
Yeah.
And they're just like sitting in them.
They're usually a lot
taking a
smaller
bath,
than
I
that.
guess. Like, if they live there? I don't know.
I don't know if I'm more surprised by you asking that question or Dave saying, yes, I know what Japanese spa monkeys are.
I've seen those
Everyone knows
videos too,
anime
yeah.
Japanese spa monkeys.
Oh, yeah, Japanese spa monkeys. Everyone knows it.
But I guarantee you 90% of this chat knows what a Japanese spa monkey is.
Steve is remaining relatively quiet on the topic of Japanese spa monkeys.
I have no experience at all of Japanese spa monkeys. And I've been to the Far East.
I will be so upset if I was lied to and they're not a thing.
We must be. They're on YouTube. It's got to be a real thing.
Yeah, someone's doing it.
There's got to be a spike in searches of that on YouTube today.
Are they mandrakes? They're called mandrakes, aren't they?
Mandrakes.
That's what this is going to be. This is going to be the Kong of mandrakes.
How often do you guys paint a minion and just halfway through you're like, this is shit?
Like all the time.
That's how I feel about this, and I'm streaming it, which is doubly impactful.
Is there a button where we can just like shut down the whole stream? Like I'm done.
There is, but I have control of the vertical and the horizontal, so...
I've had a paint accident. I was squeezing out my turbo dork.
It just sounds so bad.
And the lid came off.
Oh
You're
dear.
on
And
film
virtually
saying
the
that,
entire
aren't we?
bottle's gone in my wet palette.
Uh-oh.
I need a lot.
It's funny. Lindsay and I paint so differently. She's very much practiced kind of scholar of the art.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm much more like I will try anything to get anything done and keep applying stuff until it works, which doesn't always work out. But I don't know. It's just very interesting. I like when she and I paint together. I find it very interesting to see like the difference
Yeah.
and the result that we get from it.
Hmm.
Do you paint the same thing purposely to see the difference?
Who's better? We should, because I would crush him.
It would depend on what it is. A big demon. I think I got the lead on you on a big demon.
Maybe. I have trouble with bigger spaces. I tend to like overlayer.
canvas. I need a big canvas to try out different paint effects, and because of my eyes are older, but she's much more measured than I am.
Well, I learned like I learned how to do it from someone else, and you just kind of taught yourself, which I think gave you a lot more freedom in the end.
Right.
But I also like had access to a bunch of techniques that really worked out for me.
Where'd you learn those?
It was a website, I think it was called Massive Voodoo. And they had really advanced painting techniques, but I really liked what they were doing, and I was trying to be competitive back then. I really wanted to do competitive miniature painting and go into the crystal brush and do all those qualifiers and stuff. And it was very, very cool. And the techniques are really good. Like, they would spend like 30 different layers just doing one eye. They would lay down like the red and then the yellow and then like soak the corners with a little bit more yellow and then start to build the pupil in layers. And like, it was pretty extreme, but it was also gorgeous.
Was the gorilla nipples class part of that YouTube education, or?
It wasn't. That's why I needed advice, because we never covered. We never covered that.
What a shame.
They should have. It would have helped me in this
Would
moment.
have helped you right
Like,
now.
on screen.
I see that Baron Snowhand has been making clips again in chat.
Yeah, it may be of me saying I was squeezing out my turbo dog.
You were, yeah.
Oh, that's good.
We have a recent question. Very interested in the painting handle. How many heads are included?
4 total.
It is 4.
So there's one that comes with it. This is a large mini, and then 3 other ones.
You can show it.
I can show
But
it.
you really want, so as a minimum, because they have magnets on the base, you want the tile.
Right.
So single tile with the painter, so it's all magnetic.
Yep.
And so if you're painting in bulk, it's like easy to switch out.
Yep. And then somebody in the Kickstarter actually suggested that we just sell more heads.
Yeah, so we do that.
So we do that as well. So if you want a couple tiles that you can drop, if you're painting 8 or 12 minis at a time, which is a great idea.
We're
It's
supposed
something
to.
I do often, actually.
We're supposed to plug the Kickstarter here, right?
Are we?
Yeah, we kind of just went into a big tangent of just chatting.
That's
But yeah.
You can get the what's the painter's like $29 entry, and you can get the tile for like $20.
Yeah.
So entry level, you can get in and get the handle with the magnets and everything for like $50 or something like that.
Yeah.
That's
That's
USD. Although the euro is like 1-to-1 right now, right?
Yep.
It's getting close, yeah.
What's the temp over there for you guys right now?
We've had a load of storms, so the temperature's kind of back to normal-ish.
Oh, that's good.
So we're in the low 20s, not in the high 30s anymore. So we've stopped cooking.
Oh, Celsius. I love it. I'm from Canada originally, so I'm speaking the language.
Oh, my
Yeah, it's,
phone. It did the thing. How dare you, phone. All right, everyone, I apologize.
All right, switch to
Right
it.
back.
No worries.
It looks like Lindsay just killed a gorilla.
I did. I'm murdering this mini right now. But still legal to play. This is from Monster Apocalypse, which is one of my favorite
Hey,
miniature games.
it's table ready. All right. It's table
Yeah,
ready.
this is gonna be good table ready. I can clean it up later. I'm impressed with the
Dave or
limited
Steven,
supply
have
of
you
paint
played
I've been
Monster
provided.
Apocalypse?
No, no.
It's
No.
fun.
It's a really good game.
It's a very silly game.
It is.
Well, we'll bring the topic back round to the games. But you mentioned, so I was checking out it's rosegauntlet.com.
Yeah, rosegauntlet.com is our website.
So everyone go check it out now. But one of the new games, and we were talking about this briefly before we went live, is the Life After Dungeon. Where did that? Because it's a great idea. Your character's died, but here's the next adventure, and I'm intrigued to see how you, because it says like love, intrigue, more romance could be on the other side. So the journey continues. How did that idea come about?
So that's a collaborative design between Isaac and me. It'll be the first one that we really done together, which is super exciting. And this is even, I think, older than the company, where he's like, I have an idea, but all I have, Life After Dungeon. The adventure continues. And I was like, that is amazing. We will make that into a thing.
So just 3 words. He had 3 words.
He had an amazing title and kind of a basic concept of, okay, you're an RPG group and you have, TPK, a total party kill in a dungeon. What happens? What does it look like afterwards? So we've been working on it. It's going to be a huge game. It's very large. We've been working on it for 2 years, and it'll probably be another year. It'll probably hit some sort of crowdfunding sometime late next year. Is the goal. And we really want to explore the question of, not just what happens to you after you die, but what was important. We want to explore, what was the point of living? What was important to you when you lived? What are the things that mattered? And kind of delve into those deeper subject matter. And because that is such a deep subject matter, I think it's a really good way to contrast it with, a fun, lighthearted world. Yeah. So we have the world of After. And the world of After, it's not necessarily the afterlife, but it's more of a limbo, and you've lost the pages of life that you had, and you can't move into the real afterworld until you get your pages of life back, and you also can't be risen from the dead. The scrolls don't work. So you need to go and find the pages in life, and by doing so, you'll find out the moments in life that truly matter to you as a character. And by the end of it, you'll have built a complete RPG character with a full backstory that you can then take into a D&D game or any other role-playing game with a really cool complex background. Yep. Or you can, we're working on turning it into an RPG setting as well as a board game to be able to have adventures in the realm of After as well. And we're very, very excited about it. We think it's going to be something that's really special.
The artwork you've got on that the cover piece on the website, that is beautiful. Have you kind of met different artists from doing this?
Yeah, so it's such a big project. We'll have a couple. That one was made by Alyssa Minold, who's done a bunch of work with me in the past. We actually worked at Weird together back in the day, which is where I met her. And then she did an amazing job. And the world of After is all based on South American culture, specifically Dominican, which Isaac is. So it's a chance for him to kind of explore his culture in a fantasy setting. Yeah. Which I think will be really, really cool. And she just nailed it. We gave her the pitch and we're like, just run with it. We have nothing else for you right now. This is what we have. Just go. And I think she created one of the most stunning announcement images I've ever seen. Yep. So she's really incredible. She also does all the Dogmite screens. If you love the art on Dogmite screens look, it's Alyssa.
That was my next question, was who, I thought it was going to be in, people who worked at Dogmite, different creators. But you actually, it's the, I'm just spinning in the background, that's why I can't move. But I'm just vibing myself rather than vaping. So let me quickly... So, for example, yeah, I'll show this one to everyone here. This is a Dogmite GM screen. This is the Tempest, the Valhalla.
Yep.
Absolutely beautiful, laser engraved, coloured. Just love it. The colours pop.
It's gorgeous.
It is vicious.
We should
Terrify your players kind of way.
I like that adjective, vicious.
Yes, it's vicious. It's
But Alyssa does a ton of our art, and AlyssaMennel.com. She is fantastic.
Yeah.
We've worked with her for like 4 years, 5 years.
Yeah, probably 4.
Yeah, this is amazing. She's also in our D&D group. So.
Really?
Yep.
Yeah, we actually play RPGs with her every other week.
That's cool.
She created her own art for her own character and then made a Vanguard
I was
out of it.
so jealous of that. It's really cool to have an artist in your D&D group, but there's also some severe drawbacks because she's like, hey, I just did this sketch of myself being really cool. And you're like, Alyssa, you didn't bring one for everyone. Yours
Like
is
the rest of the
amazing.
party's like, are you going to draw the rest of
Like, the rest of us have like stick figures giving a thumbs up side. And she has like a full portrait of amazing art.
Yeah, she's amazing. And she's just a really wonderful person. Just really cool.
Yeah, very passionate about the industry.
Yep. Full-on gamer.
Very excited to work with people.
That's cool. It's nice when you get you're able to build that up as well. You can collab on various other projects. You keep using the same artists.
Mm-hmm. There's also, like, when you use the same artist a lot, there's a really awesome trust that builds. Like, you get to know each other's creativity really well and start playing off of that. And that's a really cool place to be, no matter what. Like, I'm sure for comics, it's very similar.
Yeah.
Yeah, expectations are very clear. And, I don't know, God, we've commissioned hundreds of pieces of work from her. And she knows exactly what we want and what the parameters are. And she's amazingly quick, and for an artist, she follows direction and can meet timelines, which is not always the case. Not giving artists bad name, but sometimes that can be problematic.
Mm-hmm.
But
So that's really good.
Staying with the GM screen, you've got now you've made some screens for some, well, not pretty, but just the biggest names who are playing RPGs at the moment. Joe Magnelio.
Yep.
The story that I've heard is it was his team of players who made it as a gift for him. Is that true?
Yes.
That was the big Tiamat one, wasn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Lindsay was integral in that.
That was a fun one.
Lindsay, do you know what you can say about that? Can we say who commissioned that?
I mean, it was all of his players.
Okay.
So they certainly picked a point person, but all of them gave me input quite a bit.
Good.
So I would say like one was more than the other.
Because there's quite a nice little group of players.
Yeah, I didn't realize until we started communicating who was in the group. And I was like, wow, this is a hell of a group of players.
Yeah.
That was certainly one of the most fun ones, I think. Especially since it was just a gift. It wasn't for a set.
That's what I mean. I mean, you've done like Critical Role EXU, and those are beautiful. That kind of the double front panel, the double size, that is gorgeous. And I'm someone. I mean, you know, I'm someone I use a laptop, and I've got minis, and I've got terrain pieces. The cardboard one, sometimes the cardboard DM screen, it's not enough. So you end up having 2 DM screens and everything else. But that huge front panel, it hides your laptop perfectly. It is gorgeous.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Mike.
I think one of the most interesting emails that we ever got, I think Lindsay walked into my office, and this is 3 or 4 years ago, and she's like, do you know what the World Wrestling Federation is?
I knew what the World Wrestling. I just didn't know what they wanted. I was like, why would they? I don't understand why they're here, but they're here. But apparently, they're huge D&D fans.
Is it Hulk Hogan that wants a screen? 'Cause
It was not.
No.
It was as good though.
it was as good.
Yeah, he's been. It's. I won't say names until you say names, but he.
Well, I think that one was Ember Moon. Was that
Yeah.
the name? I just don't want to get it wrong. I'm not saying names not because they're under NDA still, but because
Right.
it's been a while and I don't remember like the stage name. I just remember the personal name.
Yeah, the stuff is good. Again, they get the Badger stamp of approval. That doesn't mean anything, but you get a Badger stamp of approval. It is
take it.
gorgeous. Yeah, there you go.
It's very cool. It's also very interesting because like you can't design a screen for say for the Critical Role Exandria. It's different than designing a screen for your house. Because when you're designing a screen for a set like that has a lot of professional lighting, they have a lot of different needs that someone who's just playing at home would have.
Yeah.
So sometimes we need to like get into like, okay, how many lights are, like how reflective does it need to be? 'Cause
Wow,
there's so
okay.
many lights on it.
Yeah.
We need to tone down the reflectiveness. How high is the camera? So we can make sure that the screen cuts off at the right height. And then also some colors look really good on stage and some colors just kind of like lose their luster on camera more so than others. And at home it doesn't matter because no one's filming, but it's really important that we test out the colors under the bright like those bright sterile lights that they use on sets and stuff to make sure that they aren't getting washed out and they're coming through on video the way that they need to be. So it's a really interesting challenge that's kind of its own unique thing when you're designing for big sets like that, especially the ones with the professional gear. More so than you would think.
And they're not wrongfully so, but they're very particular about their IP.
Yeah.
So we're working on a screen that I can't talk about right now for somebody that everyone would know that we're talking to right now that I'm very excited about, but I can't say anything about it, but that every step of the way, it's a third party that contacted us about it that needs to push it to that person's team. So everything is 4 steps removed from basically my artist. So I've sent Alyssa 5 changes this week about one screen in particular that we're working on. That's very cool, but the higher up you go, the more specific they want things. And I don't mean that in a bad way, but they're just protective of that IP, and that IP has to be very exact.
Yeah.
Well, that's why the IP is so good. They put all that work into it all the time.
Yeah, it makes me wonder what we're doing wrong. Like, I'm not that particular. Maybe I should be more.
I mean, you mentioned like the lighting and everything, and how it has to be because it's for TV or cameras or everything. And that's an interesting point because, especially EXU, that was like a stained glass window. Their logo is a stained glass window. Their intro is all stained glass windows. And when you see your screen the first time, like EXU, the green one, it didn't look like wood. It looks fragile. So the fact that you've been able to somehow translate that into the wood, the design, the colouring, yeah, that's fantastic. But that's kind of stuff that again people don't know how it's done or how you create that or the detail that goes into it. So that's amazing.
Oh, thank you. And that really speaks to my team and how good they are and our ability to experiment and try new things. We fail often, but we succeed a lot as well. And that was one of those successes. But it's tough. We have to, it's odd when a lot of the higher profile people reach out to you. They'll be like, we need it in about 9 days in our hands. Just
They do like to do that to us.
So,
I love them. I think because they know we'll do it. Like they know we can.
Yeah.
So, but sometimes those things come together really quick. Or sometimes I learned by working with Geek and Sundry, they have to film the entire show.
Yeah.
Maybe in a day. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? Like filming, it's all the magic of camera, but it didn't necessarily happen all those different weeks that you saw it.
But I think our crew realizes like the import of it, and we can move that quickly on something. And a lot of stuff, like the EXU screen, for an example, that's we did a lot of experimentation with that screen, but it was already stuff that we were working on. So we just had to turn it up to 11 for a week and make sure we centered on that a little bit, and it worked out really well. But we won't get there if we don't experiment and kind of push ourselves to do that. Lindsay, that mini looks amazing.
Does it look good?
Yeah, it looks great.
Thank you. I haven't worked with pinks in a while.
It's a huge advantage being like a smaller business that we can still be agile.
Yeah.
We can go like drop everything, make this happen, and we can turn it around in a week if we have. It sucks. Not gonna lie, because we have a bunch of shit going on. But
Don't tell Critical Role that we think it sucks. By the way,
No, it's totally fine. I think. Oh, go ahead, Mike.
But Critical Role, if you're watching this, hello.
like,
hello, 13 million viewers.
I will like whatever it takes, man. Like we will figure it out. We'll come in. We'll work 70-hour weeks. Like it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Because fucking A, man.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
You said
I like the challenges.
you had in one of the videos when you were talking about EXU. I think this is Calamity, it might have been, and you said we've just had an email from the CR team, and they want this. Is it? How long was that email in your inbox before you noticed it, or were you sitting there and ding, there's an email? Critical Role wants something. Here we go. You know, ring the bell. We're all hands on deck. Right.
Count to 3.
It was like Spidey senses are tingling.
Yeah, you don't mess around with that.
Do they have a special phone number like you know Commissioner Gordon phones Batman, and you're like the Critical Role phone. Here we go.
They're shockingly easy to work with.
Yeah, they are.
Frankly, it's like they trust the artistic vision, and they've actually been the easiest to work with.
Yeah, in some ways they are.
Yeah.
And
they get really excited too. Like their team is just super pumped about everything, and that helps.
Yeah.
And
anytime you're working with another creative team and they're as excited as you are about what you're doing, it really helps make everyone on the team feel pumped up and to put out the best thing.
And we've worked with them enough now that we know they know the files that we need. They know what our parameters are. They know who my graphic designer is. Like that contact is pretty tight right now, and we can move pretty quickly. I think it's the other kind of some of the other companies that we're learning to work with right now that things are a little choppier, but we're figuring that out a little bit. But that's all that.
It's always the way it is, though.
It is. It's
business. Because you always have to learn how to work with each other. That
you
like
do.
no matter how good everyone is at what they do, there's a new team still a new team. There's still a learning curve with everyone getting used to how each other works and what you're good at.
I think that's well put, Lindsay.
That speaks to like the holistic nature of like the teams everywhere. So every team that's good is holistic, and it's not a black or white thing. And everyone like you have to have input, and you have to have like all of your T's crossed and your I's dotted. And I think it's fantastic when people can really appreciate the creative side.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's super fun. There's nothing like the thrill of working with a really good creative team.
Yeah.
And everyone's just throwing out ideas, and you're like, that's amazing. That's amazing. That's amazing. I'll be right back.
Yep. And I really, those are my proudest moments when our team can back it up.
Yeah.
And we can deliver what we promise. And we couldn't always do that because, you know, we were younger and smaller and
better looking
had more hair, could see better, but now we can. And now I know what the parameters of what we can do are, and I know them very specifically. So
yeah, it's fantastic.
It's really pretty cool.
Just getting better, man. Get better every day.
Just progress.
Persistence.
It's like painting a mini.
It is. It's like anything you want to achieve that's worth anything.
Yeah.
It takes patience and progress.
And time.
And time. And money. And alcohol.
And
Lots of alcohol. Yeah.
Massive amounts of sacrifice.
Yeah, that's true. And look, if it were easy, anyone could do it.
Yeah.
That's the difference.
That's Cameron's favorite saying, I think.
Yep. If it were easy, everyone would do it.
Yep.
My favorite saying is "Don't be the unicorn, be the donkey."
Hey, that's my saying. That's mine.
I know. I was at Gen Con. We were on the phone in the morning, and I was at Gen Con, and I was getting ready for a meeting, and you're like, all right, go out and be the donkey. And I'm like, hell yeah, I'm a good donkey. And then the meeting walked up to me, and they're like, what? And I'm like, excuse me, it's a private inside joke. I'm not really going to sit here and explain it to you.
Hee-haw for me, baby.
It was a weird way to start that meeting. They showed up a little too early. Caught me having my coffee in the corner.
So what's next? What's next for Dogmite? You mentioned, every day we're learning. Every project you're learning new things. You get to experiment with bits and pieces. Have you thought about 2023?
Oh yeah. Yeah. We already have plans for Q4. Q4 is a monster for us, so we have to really plan our production out to make sure we can have available what we need to make sure our in-stock production matches what the demand will be and what our projections match up to that.
Yeah.
I think that the curious thing is every November we sell out, and we've never been able to achieve a space where we have more than what we need.
Right.
Which is a fantastic thing.
Yeah.
And we've kind of tried to preempt that through the year, but like the growth is so good that we can't get enough.
Yeah.
Going into Q4,
we basically moved to an in-stock model a couple of years ago.
Yeah.
To boost our retail, because retail is the best, most stable kind of currency that we can get. Take away Kickstarters, because the Kickstarter's amazing as a marketing platform, but we have a lot of issues with using that as a business model, and we prefer to use a retail business model because it's much more stable. It grows slowly. It's
more difficult to achieve.
It's more difficult to achieve, and you can kind of understand what your projections match more closely to it.
Very predictable, yeah.
So, yeah, we have some ideas going into retail next year. Right now, we're focused on Q4 because Q4 for a luxury item business like we are is it's massive and requires a lot of planning and thought.
We do have a very cool Gaboon ebony product, which is the most expensive lumber in the world currently.
Yep.
And we're going to do a limited run of those probably in October.
Yeah, probably September. Maybe September, October.
Late September, early October.
But we'll see. I think Q4 is going to be mostly... We have some plans for new designs for engravings from Alyssa.
Yeah.
Some really cool stuff that we haven't done before. But
yeah, you haven't done a badger hand before.
No, we haven't done a badger.
There you go. Look, very simple.
That's cheaper than Alyssa.
There it is.
You send me that PDF. I think we can do that.
How does 10% sound?
Yeah, that's cool.
We'll absolutely do that. Absolutely, we love collaborating, man. Like we work with anyone that has some heart.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Yeah. We definitely got plenty of heart.
I'll give you that. Yeah.
Hey Steve, can I see your mini closer?
Yeah. There we go.
Wow.
Ooh.
Is that a Dogmite mini painter pedestal?
It is a Dogmite mini painter pedestal. It's the new one, and I love the fact that it spins around so easily.
Do you like it? I was kind of worried that it felt too fragile, but I think I'm used to it now, and I kind of enjoy it.
It's the right size because it fits in the palm of my hand when I'm holding it, and then I can twist it with my fingers. It's really good, and this is really good. I think the one on the first one was a little bit hard for me, but this is really soft and really. I'm well impressed.
Oh, good.
I didn't think it would sit on there because it's quite a big mini.
I know. I'm impressed you got all that on there.
It's really comfortable. really comes through.
Actually, we had an argument about the old ones in copper versus aluminum, and the two.
There's a whole day.
It was the two of the guys. They're like that paint minis, Mike included. They're like, look, man, like copper's really cool. I'm like, I really like copper. They're like, nah, like this is better. It holds its shape better, and it's kind of those micro interactions that make a product.
Yep.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Right, and from people that actually do it.
Yeah, I definitely prefer this one. It's got that little bit of you lean on it and it gives, and I like that. So you can find the right. It balances your hand better, I think.
Cool.
Good.
Thank you for that.
Yeah, good to hear.
That was neat to like get feedback.
And the rest of this stuff is playing great into my fastidious nature for being neat and tidy. Because when I set up, everything has its place.
The
And by
OCD
the end of
kicks
the
in.
stream, I have paint pots over here, and I have plastic things on the end of my brush strewn across the table. But now I have somewhere to put everything. So all my paints have gone in there nicely. The little bits of plastic have gone on the shelf. Everything is as neat as when I started.
That's good. That's the goal,
Yeah,
really.
excellent feedback.
I think that's really cool because I can have a tendency to like get so focused on what I'm doing that like I'll forget where everything is in proximity to me and then just knock over an entire thing of paint or non oil or something. But if it had a little hole that it rested in, I feel like that would happen a lot less.
I'll often just stop doing something to make sure I know where everything is, so I don't do that. Or I'll pick something up 4 or 5 times and make sure the lid's still on it tight.
Yeah, nothing's worse than putting it away and realizing that the lid is open after the next time you go to paint.
Yeah.
How big is your shelf of shame, everyone?
It's, I mean, a couple of buckets.
It's a couple of
No
buckets.
longer a shelf, if that's what you're asking.
Bins? Bins of shame?
Yeah, it's a bin of shame at this point. I've literally taken CMON games and been like, I want these minis, but I'll never play this game. And I'll just dump all the minis in a bin and be like, these are D&D minis now.
Do you know the company Really Useful Box? Do you have that over there?
No.
I've never heard of that.
There's a plastic box maker, plastic crate maker. They make crates from like pencil case size all the way to huge. You could put a car in a plastic box if you wanted to. I have several 64-litre boxes full of unpainted minis. Because you know, we got into it, we were buying loads, and then we ended up teaming up with WizKids, and then WizKids sent us loads. And we're like, we can't paint them, so we've just got literally hordes of unpainted minis. And Steve, there's a door behind Steve in Steve's place, and that's the secret cupboard of shame.
Nice.
Covered in shame.
Closet of shame, basically. Yeah.
That room behind me is 3 meters deep and 1.5 meters wide.
When we first started going to cons, we worked with Ralph Partha. Do you guys know who Ralph Partha is?
Yeah.
And
That's back in the day.
yeah, the owner's amazing, super nice guy. He's kind of hard to gain the trust of, but once you do, he's all in. And I remember we were in Origins one day. It was like a Sunday at Origins in Columbus, Ohio. And he walked up and he's like, I heard you need some minis. And he literally dumped 70 minis in my hands.
Oh.
And said, here you go. Do with them what you will.
Wow.
Once you start, like, I'm sure you guys are the same way, but once you start establishing a connection like that, you're overwhelmed a little bit.
Yeah.
Does anyone have a mini where they're so afraid of ruining it they haven't started it yet?
One. I have, and this is Steamforged again. This is Steamforged the Frost Giant.
Oh yeah, me too.
It is so
cool.
big, so nice, and I'm like, I don't know where to begin. I don't even prime it just in case I prime it wrong. And that's the thing. I'm like, oh no, what if I prime it completely the wrong color? I don't know, but it's one of those projects I only want to start if I know I can finish. If I have to start and get halfway and it goes on the shelf, for 6 months, I'll never get back to it, and that'd be even worse.
All right, Dave. I have the same mini. I base coated it in a blue that I hate.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah. So if I pull a Conus, then we know.
You and I agree to finish it within the month. I'll show you a pic of mine.
Jeez.
What, August or September?
October. Let's go October.
October, okay.
All right, by Halloween.
By Halloween, okay.
I don't know if they celebrate Halloween. Do you celebrate Halloween?
Yeah. Well, kind of.
The kids get sweets.
The kids do, yeah. We don't necessarily dress up as much as what we see in the films. Where, like E.T., we wouldn't have done that. We probably would have put a sheet over, but we wouldn't have been allowed to cut up the eyes. But when we see Halloween in the States in the films and on TV, it's nothing. We don't do that over here. And then we have Bonfire Night or Guy Fawkes Night, where we basically burn scarecrows. And
we don't have that.
What date is that?
That's remember the 5th of November. So
let's do that. That sounds so much better than Halloween.
Yeah, Steve, give him a UK history lesson.
So that goes back to the gunpowder plot when Guy Fawkes tried to blow up the Houses of Parliament.
Oh.
See, one, he's a revolutionary. What was the film, Steve? The one with the mask.
V.
Yeah.
Was it V?
That's it.
Yeah, V for Vendetta. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the Guy Fawkes. That's Guy Fawkes mask.
Oh, really? Oh, that's cool.
And he's doing the same thing, blowing up governments.
Let's do V for Fire Giant. The 5th of November. Doesn't rhyme. Terrible.
We want to do a proper brush off, and that's you come back and we go, right, who wins? Who wins the gold star?
All right. Now you've raised the level here.
We can do that.
A brush off on your favorite, because I know it's both. It's your favorite mini, and Mike, I know it's yours too.
It would take hours to paint.
Yeah.
That's like an all-day marathon.
It is sitting in a prominent place on my shelf of shame, just staring at me every time I sit down.
So there's another YouTube channel called Happy Little Minis, and they painted that frost giant. Well, I think when it first came out, or soon after it came out, and. I don't know her name, but the lady on there, the axe, that huge axe, rather than making it metal, she made it like a piece of ice. And that idea stuck, and it was gorgeous. It was just cool. The painting was just brilliant. But rather than rusted piece of metal or a pounded piece of metal, it was a shard of ice. And that I'm going to do that.
Don't do that to me.
I'm going to do that. if I can do that, that's the hard bit.
All right, let's do it personally, not publicly.
Okay, yeah, we'll try it.
Oh, wow.
And then we'll come back.
It seems like.
I'm getting scared.
Then we'll come back for public ridicule.
Perfect.
Yeah, we'll just put some photos on social every now and then. Progress versus badgers. Yeah, the dogs versus badgers. Here we go.
My favorite type of ridicule. Public.
Yeah. We do that. Right, we are coming to the last 10 minutes. We're counting down. This is the point of the show where we start to get the audience to vote. So we are going to go around the houses. Everyone get your minis out. We're going to have a quick kind of 1 minute to pimp your mini, present it. Now, you, the audience watching, only for you at Twitch. If you're watching this on YouTube, sadly you've already missed it. But thanks for watching. So the audience now will get to vote. We've got the pink ape is on camera, ready to go. So let's start with Lindsay.
It's pretty good. It's pretty good.
The blending's insane.
Yep.
Well, thankfully the camera's really.
He looks like he's bleeding from his nipples. Is that the?
is that the effect you were going for?
How dare you? He is a warrior. He would only. Well, to be fair, a warrior would lactate blood. That would be the chosen.
That does look pretty cool.
Not only, Mike, will he crush you in this painting competition with his sweet skills, but he will soon crush you in Monster Apocalypse as well when I stomp your monster with him and the rest of my ape empire.
That is
Fair.
Other than
superb.
that, he enjoys spas and has taken relaxing baths in public.
That is superb.
If
Steve
this
is.
wouldn't entice anyone, here's a sweet shot of the butt. But I didn't get the shade yet, but he's got a tight butt. Just throwing that
It's
out
weird.
there.
He's got that kind of back midriff open. You think he'd have? He just shaved that bit for some reason.
Yeah, I don't know what's going on there. It's like
more
when you
like
let your
cooling.
friends like wax you and it's gone horribly
Yeah.
wrong.
He's gonna get a little tattoo back there.
Oh, I'm a little hot on the lower back from all these squats I'm
He's
doing.
had a horrible accident.
Okay, that's looking very good. Okay, so we've
That is
got.
good looking good.
And what's it called?
The mini?
Yeah.
The
You-
mini is, I believe, King Kongo or King Koga from Monster Apocalypse, but he's King Kong.
Yeah.
I'll be calling him King
That's
Kong
cool.
when we play.
The king. Okay, I think Michael's ready and waiting. Look, he's. I can see that shield from here. That stands out.
Let me see what I can do. It's the mountain.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Nice
Enough
color
horse.
scheme. Got the greens in there.
I paint a lot quicker than Lindsay does.
Horse Mountain.
Yeah.
I went green,
Go
silver,
away.
white, and brown,
Get some focus.
basically.
There you go.
Cool.
Oh, that's nice.
Not showing as well as the nipples of the gorilla. I need a white background.
It was because of the nice advice I got from the audience.
All right,
No,
there you
that's-
go. That works. Look at that.
That
That's
she
a
looks awesome.
canvas.
It's
So,
like a hang.
audience, if you're watching there, just put it into live chat, okay? To start shouting out names and minis, and we'll start collating the votes. We get Steve to sort of just count on his fingers, really.
Dave, I'd like to. Can I give my mini an official name?
Go for it, yeah.
It's pink nippled gorilla. Is what I
I dare you to use it.
Not a horse.
Fantastic. Okay, Steve, over to you.
Steve's been working past the bell.
Steve's been working like a demon.
Yeah.
Steve takes this far too seriously. I'm just here to have a chat.
The silent killer over there.
It's because I just zone out and concentrate and relax. That's what I do this for, is relaxing. That's horribly blown, but I'll try and put my hand on it or something. Yeah, there we go. I didn't get very far, but I've been painting the panels. Colour's not showing up at all because it's very white. But I have got lots of green and greys in there, and I just started doing the yellow at the back, but I ran out of time, so I
You
didn't
got-
do
you
that.
got a
I
yellow
just
butt.
put some rust on.
I like the yellow butt.
Yeah.
Yeah. Is that the bits to shoot off, though, Steve?
Yes,
In
they're
the
bits to shoot
game,
off.
the bits
Yeah.
highlight, don't they?
Correct,
And they tell
yes.
you which bits you got to shoot off to kind of slow the creature down. Okay, cool.
That's right.
Oh,
yeah.
that's a cool idea.
So there's
You got to
yeah,
shoot
so
him in the
it's
butt.
you shoot the yellow bits. So there's some detailing on there that I haven't got around to doing. Is a trick to put a white background? Is that what it is? But that's got writing on it because that's game name.
That does not help at all, Steve.
Yeah, you've been swatting up an alien at the same time.
I think you may have had the worst backdrop you possibly could.
Cool. You have to
Let's try this blue bit of tissue.
A blue bit of tissue. Look, you've been blowing your nose on it. Look.
There we go.
Now I
Oh,
see
that's
it.
better.
Now I see
There
it.
we
Yeah,
go.
that's better.
Okay.
Oh, it's almost like a comic style, like a comic inking style that you've done.
Yes, very much shaded up with lots of different shades of olive, greys, and a bit of ochre yellow in there. You can't really see because you've blown colours, but
Like those Asian monkeys where their genitals swell up when they're ready to mate.
is it the spa monkeys?
Is that where you're going for, Steve?
No.
No.
And then the shift of paint on the radiators, I did a bit of purple at the base and red.
That's very
again,
nice.
It's not really showing up very well.
Kind of a silent killer over there. I see how it is.
Baron Snowhand says engorge.
And gorge.
Gorge, yeah.
So I went completely off. I was going to paint the orc polar bear, but I painted a couple of bits, and I just concentrated on his white butt. So We've done a lot of painting of butts in this episode, but there we go.
There's a lot of butt talk.
But
Miniatures have very prominent butts a lot of times.
they do.
They do.
This is the one I was going for. I just got kind of sucked into this.
Oh, that's
this is a
awesome.
tentacle.
Oh, that's very nice.
That's actually.
Yeah, that would be what I would vote for.
So
Is that what you didn't actually paint right now? Like
Yeah.
You were...
Can we vote?
There's been someone behind him just painting in
We've
secret.
got loads of them.
Just like handing it down to them.
We got
underneath
Rick
the desk.
Hankney. Just come over. There we go. There we go. V Muse. Just come over. So here we got. Yeah, it was just very simple colour scheme, but using those turbo shift paints.
Wow, that's
So-
very cool.
Make it kind of purpley, scaly, and also wet. And it's holding a piece of wood there from a boat. Not completely finished, but it's highlighted a lot of pieces. I can
Very cool.
zoom
What is
in.
that from?
This is a 3D printed Kraken that I'm
Your
using.
knight.
Oh, 3D printed. I was gonna say I really like how it's designed.
On my shelf of shame here, this is a Kraken.
Oh, there's different pieces.
Yeah.
So you have to do like 8 of those tentacles.
Yeah,
Wow,
and that's quite.
that is a
significant
great
knowledge.
study in consistency.
There we go. Yep. So that's that one, and then I did, and it's really handy because I can use the shelf tile, the magnet tile there, so I can arrange everything very nicely. Then I did a mummy, which is just basically one colour. There we go.
Is Dave like editing the video? Like someone's painting this off camera and they hand it to him. He's
These
like,
looks
"Oh,
really good. I know these are looking really
Yes.
good.
Really good job, but here's
Yeah.
3. Here's 3 that I
He's
got.
Table
Dave has
ready.
3 off-camera painters just ripping shit out for him.
If only that was true. If we had a budget to do it, we'd do it.
More Krakens.
Yeah. And then I was base painting this one in black so that I could use more metallics and shifters. This is another 3D printed. This is a Dragonborn Knight because I have an Eldritch Knight in one of my games.
The chat wants to know where you're getting the 3D printed files.
Yeah, it's a guy in the UK, Warrior Prince 3D. We invited him to. So we had what we called a Badger Barbecue, and then it's loads of people turn up, and we just play D&D all day and eat barbecue food. And for the first time, he said, "Can he bring some minis along? Because he's a 3D printer." I'm like, "Yeah, bring them along." So we had our first vendor. So now we're thinking, can we make a mini BadgerCon? So like one day we'll have a couple of Etsy kind of creators come down in person, play D&D, have a barbecue, and I think he must have walked away with like £300 or £400. It was great.
Oh, that's great.
So
Don't
what-
stop serving the barbecue though.
Oh no, the barbecue is.
If you keep it, if you turn it into a con, please
do
don't
the-
stop serving the barbecue.
We do the barbecue, and then it's a big battle royale. So we have a huge printed map, and everyone puts their minis on, and everyone takes their go. It's normal D&D rules. And at the end of the round, end of the initiative round, the environment changes somehow. So the environment might get smaller, a bit like Hunger Games. So it gets smaller and more violent. Volcanoes can erupt or floods can happen. So that wipes out some characters there. And when you got 30, 40 players playing one battle royale, that gets a bit messy. But then what we do is when you die, you turn into a zombie or a ghoul or a vampire. And then you're hunting the rest of the players. So it's a mad free-for-all. And it's really good fun. Around,
That sounds really
a
fun.
giant picnic table. So it's fantastic. So now we're coming to the end of the show, people. We're just going to award the gold star for the evening. We can shout out who you think it's. I'm going to go for pink nipples. It's the ape.
I think that's a clear win.
It's an unusual mini. I'm a bit concerned about the piece on the back that's missing. I'm not sure even maybe the monkey woke up and thought, where's that gone? Why am I painted pink? That was a mad party last night. So
It
anyone
was.
shout out who you think. We got Baron has been voting Lindsay for quite a lot, I think.
She's pandering now by showing ass shot only.
Just, can I?
Yeah, 2 votes for Lindsay.
2 votes for Lindsay.
Steve, Michael votes.
I think it's the gorilla.
There we go. So we have
Seconded.
what we've got. For those of you watching, we do this amazing piece of technology. In 10 seconds, everyone else will be able to see it as well. Lindsay disconnected. The phone.
Oh
The phone's
no!
gone. And it
Well,
goes round and
thankfully
round and
only
round.
round.
part
Yeah.
of me disconnected.
And then boom. So Lindsay has won the gold star. Steve, if you can switch around, I'm going to see if I can. That's 1, 2, 3, 4. There we go. Let's see if we can get Lindsay back in shot. Oh, we lost Steve now as well.
So I'll just have to reactivate.
There we go.
I apologize. I crashed.
You know,
the
if
whole
you're
party.
watching,
I was so excited to win, but I was like, you know what would really give me the gold star if I threw this thing into chaos.
Who's the most competitive out of the two of you?
ooh,
Pretty close.
that's tough. It might be a tie. It might be a tie.
We're both proof. We actually had to we played the Game of Thrones card game, and we both had to agree
We
to
stopped.
not play the Game of Thrones card game anymore.
LCGs, not
It
playing
wasn't healthy for our relationship.
It was not good for us.
We've been getting better though. We've been really committed to being better competitors. We played Star Wars. I lost horribly, and then I bought him a nice weapon, which was a very kind thing to do to someone who just lost to your army.
It was.
So
And she bought her own, by the way, after that.
then I immediately bought the gun to take it down for myself.
So
We're both very competitive gamers.
one last time, the Dog Mite Kickstarter. How long we got? Was we halfway through the
It's
campaign?
10 days left.
11 days.
11 days left. Yeah, it's going really well. We're really pleased.
Do you have a particular favourite piece? Because I know there's some. You've got a USB light on there. You've got trays. And here's a question: is this something that you're able to, you just naturally think of more ideas and expand in the future? You bring out more modular pieces.
Yeah, absolutely. We're going to support this on our retail website after it's closed. We think it's a really good idea. I love it.
Yep.
I would definitely. My favorite tile is the mini painter, but I like the contrast paint collector, because I love contrast paints, and putting a palette together for an army and pulling that out separately, that just feels like that's how I paint.
Mm.
So having a 7-set collection of paints at the ready for whatever minis I'm painting is perfect. And it's really cool. It's just a really cool, clever idea.
Yeah, I love the fact it's modular. The fact that you can expand it over time, because you can buy extra pieces. So if you don't pick up the Kickstarter, you can pick it in the shop. You pick the bits you want, and then you go, okay, I'll have 2 more pieces next time, and just pick those pieces. I love that idea. Absolutely fantastic. It's been great to use. Again, thank you again for sending the samples across. Having this here has completely changed this. This has been having it just to hand rather than behind me or over to the side, because I don't have much room. It's just on this desk here. They can see it. Audience can't at the moment. But thank you very much for joining us. It's been a pleasure to hang out. Lindsay, just quickly, one last time, what's new or what's going to be next with Rose Gauntlet?
Yeah, so for Rose Gauntlet, we just released our first game, Keystone North America. So you can buy that today officially. It's off of pre-order. And then we've got our upcoming title, Wild Gardens, which is a sneak peek just for you guys. We haven't announced it officially yet, but that will be on crowdfunding, I believe backer kit, probably early October, but we'll give you more details coming soon.
Fantastic.
You forgot something.
What did I forget?
Pink nippled gorillas.
The box set.
I was gonna say,
Yes,
you could also, if you ever want to stop by the house, see me whomping Mike with his pig gorilla and shoving it down his ooze's throat.
That's fair.
Thank you everyone for watching. There's the awkward moment where we close the show. where's the pink gorilla going to end up? It's going to get shoved somewhere. We'll see you all again soon. Until then, be good, stay by.
Baron says Gripples are coming soon.
Gripples, there you go.
Gripples. Good.
Gripples. That's a better name. That's nice. That's cool.
I can't think of a better way to end a show, honestly.
And we'll see
With
you.
Gripples.
Gripples.
Every time I've ended a show with Gripples.
See you everyone. Take care. Be good to one another.
Sign off.
Bye.